Hey, I'm at it again I did this 3 times already. So let's just try to get this done. Not to take away from the importance of what I'm going to be saying, but I'm probably going to try to move through it quicker. I have new equipment on order, so hopefully this is a very limited time that I'll be dealing with this video stuff. Um, so Dolores Cannon's final version, no, vision of the Great Awakening happened through hundreds of deep trans hypnotic sessions. She also called it the shift. And this is a global and spiritual event and a cosmic graduation of sorts of souls into a new earth. Okay. And what she's worried about and what she talked about before her death was, did we overlook the fine print? Okay. And did we focus too much on the destination and not the journey? Right. Because the journey can teach us a lot. So she called this kind of level of consciousness that she experienced through these trans hypnotic sessions a super conscious. So she was able to access information, and she used Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet. She used his prophecies as well. They kind of merged and came up with this conversions of um, what is to come through this spiritual, or it could be even called a, you know, inspired kind of readiness, preparedness for the future and what's coming for these two massive parts of the world, meaning the United States and Western Europe. So she said that the time for general hope is done and that we need to be more aware of what it's like, a convergence of data. We need to be able to tap into our subconscious so that we are not in a state of panic, but in a state of alert or awareness, something so that we'll be in a place where, and of course, I mean, this is many, many years into the future. In my opinion, that's how I interpreted it. So anyway, um, she talks about a lot of the reasons for these changes are going to be because of the misuse of the spiritual lines of tension, and meaning energy and crystal technologies during the final days of Atlantis. She is a big believer in Atlantis, and she thinks that it is beneath the sea in the Bermuda Triangle. So in the United States, she talks of Edgar Casey's 3 zones. He does it for both the United States and for Europe. So the first zone in the United States is the West Coast, California. So he talks about the quakes that will eventually start south, move up the San Andreas line, and gradually land will start to gradually break away. And they call it, it says here that the land wants to return to the sea because it has a deep memory of all the destruction from its past. And they talk about how the reason a lot of it is happening now, or at the time it's going to be happening, is because of our reckless underground drilling, or the technology that's being used by the secret government, or the secret governments, because I'm a believer that there's more than one. I'm sure everyone is at this point. And but like I said, it's not going to be one big earthquake. It will be gradual ones, right? And then they'll go over to the East Coast. These changes will go to the East Coast, and the prophecies are more dramatic and sudden there. And the water will rise, but no quakes are involved. It's a tidal shift. And like New York will be underwater, Florida will almost be gone entirely. And the water is going to be said to be reclaiming what it once what was owned by all the karmic cleansing for the last days of Atlantis. So something in these prophecies, Atlantis plays like a very central part. And I'm not even sure, A, that I fully back up karma, or karmic living, like living a, oh, that's bad karma. I say bad juju. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, but I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's how I always say that. Like, I don't say I have bad karma, but I don't think anything's etched in stone. And neither does she. She actually talks about that. But zone three, to finish off the United States, it has a central corridor, or what they call the safe zone. And Edgar Casey talks about that among these warnings, there's a blueprint for rebuilding in the center of the country, and it's going to be called the safe harbor. And like the spine of the mountains, like the Rockies will survive, but it's very key that people still at the time that this happens are focused on elevation and getting to higher elevations. So the Mississippi will expand, the Great Lakes will be growing. So yeah, it's key. Elevation is key. And then we're going to head over to Europe and experience a lot of the same challenges. It's I'm a little bit more vague here, only because I'm not as familiar with the landscape on that side of the world. But he talks about Zone One, and it's the British Isles. He says that they will be almost unrecognizable, and much of England will be underwater. Nordic countries will see massive floods, and again, the washing away of old energies, old religious conflicts, and old power structures that had controlled humanity for centuries. And so, that's zone one, but then you go to zone two, which is the Mediterranean transformation. Now, Italy will see great turmoil from the earth. The Mediterranean Sea itself will change its entire shape. So, what will disappear by tectonic plates, by the way? The shifting will happen is that some lands will disappear, other lands will rise. So these tectonic plates will be creating other land. Um, but there's still going to be a safe zone here too. And it's at the eastern, it's going to be called the sanctuary in the Eastern European sections of like southern Russia will be considered the safe zone. So after all that, perhaps, planning a fast getaway isn't the worst idea in the world. But Dolores says, and she's very adamant about this point, she says, one central truth: the future is not set in stone, it is a probability. She calls it, she says this, and this is a great way to look at it. A prophecy is not a prison sentence, it is a weather forecast. Now, think about how we treat our weather forecasts. I mean, let's be serious, right? You know, like, you don't panic for a weather forecast, you prepare. So she says, this information is not meant to scare you into paralysis, it's meant to empower you into conscious action. So, again, leveling up, kind of becoming more aware of what we're being shown for the future. And she says, the most effective action you can take is not geographical, it's vibrational. This is the most important secret of all. And the ultimate safe zone is your own frequency. And I'm a big believer in that. So that's what I have for you today before the video shuts down on me. I hope you're all doing well and staying weird. That's important. Stay weird. And I'll see you next time. Until then, bye.